We approach mesothelioma cases on the basis that every client is individual and unique, that we make no assumptions other than it is incumbent upon us to do the job to the highest possible standard and bring the case to a conclusion as quickly as possible. That means sitting down with the client at the earliest possible opportunity, usually within 24 hours, at their home visits offered as a matter of course, and talking through their entire employment history since leaving school and obtaining from them a comprehensive statement covering where they worked, what they did, how they came into contact with asbestos.
My dad had a fall, admitted himself into hospital, went to hospital and was told he had fluid on the lung. And he was there for a few days and they put a line in and tried to drain the fluid. It was extremely painful, it was excruciating. And I remember him calling me from the hospital and he was crying on the phone. And I knew something more was happening rather than fluid on the lung. I'd never heard my dad cry. He was in a lot of pain. And then he was released from hospital and wasn't really right. Then came a visit to Liverpool and I seen the dramatic weight loss. And there was a few other things happening at that time where he was starting to sweat and he was feeling tired a lot. So I urged him to go and seek more help. And he was admitted into hospital. And after a couple of weeks or so, they'd come to the conclusion that he had terminal lung cancer, but no more information was given. At that point, my dad's attitude was, I'd like to go home. So he came home, we brought him home and the family were there to look after him. And we received a letter for a follow-up appointment, which my dad attended, and it was a mesothelioma specialist. And she asked my father how he felt about being diagnosed with mesothelioma, and at that point he was totally unaware that was the diagnosis. He hadn't been previously told. My uncle had died 2 years earlier, the same disease, and my dad knew what was going to happen, which was the worst part. Because of my uncle's experience and my uncle's death through mesothelioma, the family was in contact with John Flanagan from the Asbestos Society already, and John was marvellous. He came and visited us and told us about the disease and and introduced us to Thompsons actually, and introduced us to Joanne Candlish, who was absolutely marvellous. Joanne had the opportunity to speak to my dad just once before he passed away. He was really ill at the time, but managed to have a conversation with Jo, which was great, because she managed to log all the information required before he passed. I would never have known any of it.
The compensation claims process requires that we obtain evidence to establish where the client worked, how they came into contact with asbestos, to prove the diagnosis of mesothelioma by obtaining a report for the court from some of the leading medical experts in the country, and also to gather together financial information. But the overriding purpose of gathering the evidence is to establish the viability of the claim, to maximise its prospects of success, to bring it to a conclusion in the minimum possible delay, and to maximise the recovery of compensation at the conclusion of the successful claim. And if at all possible, to do so within the lifetime of those clients who elect to bring the claim to a conclusion.
Thompsons managed to find 2 companies that were liable for my father's death. He loved both jobs. He loved driving wagons, but during that process he was handballing, unloading asbestos unknown to him from the back of a vehicle, and that's how my dad got mesothelioma. It had been difficult tracing them, and I'd been working closely with Joanne, but she was fantastic and relentless in her search to find the companies.
The very fact that a claim has been successful will provide our clients with some sense of justice, as well as the all-important financial stability and the knowledge that their affairs have been put in order. The The World Health Organization has identified the UK as having the highest per capita incidence of asbestos-related mesothelioma anywhere in the world. And perhaps the most shocking and saddening statistic is that approximately 60,000 people have already lost their lives, but another 90,000 deaths have still yet to occur as a result of past asbestos exposure in the UK.
Government needs to recognise the devastation it causes. They need to recognise the future of this illness. We invest so much money yearly into cancer research, and none of that money goes to mesothelioma research, and it will be the biggest cancer killer of the 21st century. And I think that everyone needs to get on board and recognise the devastation that this will cause for future generations.